Hello and welcome to the Gothic Unicorn. Today I'm getting things a bit spooky. Now it's October, Halloween is drawing close and it's definitely spooky season. So it probably shouldn't come as a surprise that I want to get things spooky. But I'm not just talking about Halloween. I did a video last year about decorating the doll's house for the spooky season and suggested some things to look out for that you could use for miniature seasonal decorations. Because there are some people there that either want to make a Halloween scene or, as I do, decorate seasonally. That's fine. But what I actually want to talk about today is about the entire spooky aesthetic. Now, as you may be aware, my big doll's house has definitely got a spooky aesthetic. Now, I lean towards the darker side of things. A lot of my other projects, my 1/48 scale for example, have got a spooky element to them. Or I like the fantastical. My treehouse has definitely got a fantastical element to it. Fantasy, brilliant. It's because it's a bit more fun than replicating real life exactly. Whatever the era, real life, you know, it is what it is. If you introduce a bit of something fantastical, magical, spooky even, you can take it up a level, and that's what I like to do. And what I want to talk about is ways that you can do that. Because, well, you might be interested. Obviously, at this time of the year, my social media feeds are full of amazing Halloween miniatures. Haunted houses, trick or treat, parties, lots and lots and lots of Halloween, and I love it. I do. But I don't think that spooky is just for the month of October. I think we should embrace it one way or another all year round. But I'm not dissing anybody that wants to make a haunted house for Halloween. That's great. And if you've got the room to store a house that is so particular, brilliant. I haven't. So I always set out for my doll's house to sort of reflect me a little bit. In its first incarnation, it was decorated in a modern style. And I tried to include things that represented elements of my life at the time. Now, my life changed a lot. And I realised as well that I was creating a representation that wasn't the life that I wanted. It was the life that I'd been pushed into, which is why I go a bit over the top. I haven't really got a witchy grandma living in my attic. I haven't got an attic. I've got a tiny little storage loft above my house, as most houses in the UK have, if they've got anything. And I think the only things living up there are probably some spiders. Well, I'm almost certain there's got to be spiders up there. They're everywhere else this time of year. But that doesn't matter. I can have a witchy grandmama in my doll's house attic. I can have the mad scientist's laboratory in there. I can have what I want because it's my doll's house. And as long as I like it, that is what matters. But, as I say, that isn't the entire thing. And one of the things that I'm finding quite difficult is a lot of the resources for miniatures that are spooky are Halloween. So Pumpkins are great. These I picked up the other day. I showed you some velvet ones I picked up in my last video. These are just coloured polystyrene. As you can see the white through there. Styrofoam. That's the other name for them, isn't it? Now I figure these are going to be quite easy to cut bits out to turn into jack-o'-lanterns. Brilliant. They're not a bad size. Oh, that one's got a chunk out of it as well. Oh, it's got stuck to that one. Wonderful. Now these cost me £1.29 for 6. I think that's worthwhile. I will use these for Halloween decor. I will try and make sure that I share this before the end of the month. But I'm not going to use, certainly not pumpkins that are this big, jack-o'-lanterns that are this big, in my everyday decor. I wouldn't do it in my house. I'm not going to do it in miniature. So, you know, unless you want something that is eternally set in the autumn, in the fall, you know, go easy on the pumpkins. That said, I do like pumpkins, but I like them on a more realistic scale. These are smaller ones. Well, they're not actually. They're my much loved Putka pods. These, you paint them up, you can make them into great little pumpkins. I've got a plan to make a mini pumpkin patch. That's probably going to be my next video after this one, and I may start filming it as soon as I've finished doing this. But with a little bit of paint, and this is my little decor piece I made in my last video. It actually eventually stayed together. It passes for a pumpkin quite well. You can include the odd one or two if you like it. Maybe it can be like a little Easter egg. You know, as you get in some movies, you put a little tiny pumpkin into your spooky scenes, even if it's not really Halloween. But it's not for me. I'd rather be able to use these as seasonal decoration, put them out in September, step it up to jack-o'-lanterns in October, and then move into my Creepmas without the pumpkins. So I was just getting the pumpkins over and done with, because pumpkins are a autumnal fruit. Pumpkins, other kinds of squash, they look great. All those gourds, they look great. But people tend to use them this time of year, which, you know, takes out one of the main spooky imagery items. I'm not sure what word I'm looking for. Now, another one that is great for including is skulls. Now, the easiest way of getting skulls for including in and around things are beads. I've got two sorts here. This one is what I class as the standard skull bead. You can get these carved out of various materials, made out of plastic in various colours, and they're a skull, but they're not the most realistic looking. Well, can any skull this size look realistic? These ones, on the other hand, are far better. They look a bit more skullish. You can also get some really good resin skulls. Sometimes they're 3D printed, sometimes they've been cast, that are designed for war games, the Dungeons and Dragons type things. They are great for just including in odd spots and stuff. These and the like, and there is a difference in price between these. These ones are the cheaper ones. I picked up bags of these for £1. This one I picked up rather a much larger bag, but it cost me about £5 at the time. So actually they think they worked out at the time a similar price, but this was more of an investment. You could use them for door handles, maybe. You could possibly file the back down to attach it. Obviously, anything where you need to put something in, they're great because they've got a hole in the top. But you can use them for jars by covering the tops up. I've done that before with this style. But a skull is spooky. Now, you can also get cutouts of skulls. They're great. They're great for putting onto furniture, for instance, to add a dimension that you wouldn't find in ordinary furniture. Something else that you can do with that, and I've actually got another skull, is you can use these metal pieces. Now, these are all intended as charms, and I just pulled these out of my collection. I've got a dragon. Obviously, I've got my little skull, which is the plain one. I've got some with flowers, which is a bit, I'm not sure about them. And then I've got this one, which I picked out because I thought it looked quite magical with the stars and the spiral. Now these, obviously, you want to trim the little loop off them. You stick them onto a piece of furniture, maybe a cupboard door, something like that, or the end of a bed. And then you can either paint over them so that they match the piece of furniture, or you can leave them so that they show up, or you can paint over them and then highlight them with something, a colour, some metallic. Now that I've got to colour, colours are spooky. Yeah. It's black, isn't it? It's going to be a lot of black. And that is your best way of getting a spooky gothic aesthetic, is to base your colour scheme around dark colours, black. It doesn't have to be boring. My dining room is quite a bright red, but it does give you that instant, oh, this is a bit unusual aesthetic. If it's witchy, you can go with earth tones. That sort of works. Greens, browns. But basically, anything can go. You could have a complete and utter pastel goth room. I am working on that one. Well, I've got the idea for that one. I'm not actually working on it per se yet. But the stuff is out there. And apart from, obviously, things like this that are quite evidently something, you can get like filigree metal pieces that you can put on, and you can use them to add depth to your pieces. They could be used in a more ordinary situation. We tend to find that normal situations, furniture can look a bit more boring. Maybe that's why I like it like this. This is a piece that I love and that I think looks spooky without looking over the top. Now you see, you could do an abandoned house, and I love some of the abandoned scenes that I have found, and they look really spooky. You know, you've got broken furniture, you've got things that just look like they've been left for years. I've seen morgues as well as houses, all kinds of things. But if it's abandoned, it's not so easy to change things up. It's not so easy to change things round when your mood strikes you. And I've got one 1/12 scale doll's house. That is all I have room for. And so I need it to be what's the word I'm looking for? I'm having real trouble finding the right word today. I need it to be versatile. So I can decorate it for Christmas. I can decorate it for Halloween. I can decorate it as if it's somebody's birthday party. All of these are great. And yeah, all of these have happened, will happen. So I go for little spooky details like my bat table. My favourite thing on there is not the bat wing that's supposed to look like carving, although that is lovely. It's the little bits behind the drawer handles. I know there's a word for them and I can never remember what it is. But I just think that putting those bats there and then adding a little tiny bit of silver to it to make them stand out was just perfect. And I'm sticking by that. I really am. Moving on, I'm going to address the skeleton in the room. Skeletons are great. These are Halloween decorations. They're one of those skeletal garlands. I've got a load more that are actually whiter in colour. These guys are, yeah, a little less attractive, but they can be painted. They work very well in that situation. You paint them up, they can look good. You can take them apart. I have done. I've made all kinds of things from these, including furniture. Well, I'm working on the furniture. Definitely decorative pieces. I've made plant stands. I've even made a Christmas tree. Alternative to a Christmas tree, using the rib cage of one of these guys. You know, if you put one piece of furniture in your room that is a little spookier, that's got bones for the arms of a seat chair or something, brilliant. It just adds that little, did I really see that? So anybody that looks at it, whether in real life or photo, will definitely do a double take. Doesn't have to be completely obvious. Now, obviously, the entire thing with spooky is quite often people are inspired by a particular movie, TV series. There's lots of them out there, not all necessarily full-on horror films. I don't class The Addams Family as horror. It's more comedy with a hint of horror, in that, you know, they're spooky, and it's really popular. I describe my doll's house as being home to a modern British Addams Family equivalent, and that's what I keep in mind. Keep in mind, whatever you're doing miniature wise, whether it's a house or just a little vignette, keep in mind who it belongs to, because that will help you no end. Now, something that, if you're going for a more messy, spooky aesthetic that can help, is moss. Now this is some moss that I've had for ages that came in multiple colours. It's the same stuff, it's just been coloured. Autumnal colours, the green, the orange, the purple, Halloween colours maybe. I prefer the green bits. I used it on that piece that I showed you earlier. I actually was looking for my proper dried moss. That stuff is great. It can fill in little spaces in corners. If you don't like it, put a little bit of moss in it. It can either be something that has been abandoned there, or it can be something that's growing there. It's up to you, it's in your head. You know, it's that old artistic license that Bob Ross was very fond of. You get artistic license in a minute. It's a good job, really. Now, one thing that I haven't actually used in my doll's house yet are nail stickers. I've got somewhere some actual water transfer ones, and I haven't found them. So I'm hoping I didn't throw them away at some point in the past. But these are actually rub-on stickers that I picked up and thought, those might be useful. They'd be great for plates. I've got different designs in there. I've got some that may well be going on some plates in my dining room very, very soon. If I do, yeah, of course I will let you see. I like sharing. A bit too much, I think, when I'm talking, but I think there's a lot of cases that people are scared to just let go. When I started with miniatures, everything was Victorian. Victorian style dolls houses were the thing. Everybody seemed to have a Victorian. All these beautiful houses, beautiful period pieces with servants and, you know, the family. And I tried it. I tried it with my doll's house. I thought, okay, that's the way I need to go. It's a big house, it needs to have servants and everything. And I didn't like it. And actually, what changed my mind to doing modern is I went somewhere and I saw a modern bathroom suite. Now, I'm not including a bathroom in this doll's house because I don't feel the need to. I think all the rooms in my doll's house are too big, too much space to waste on a bathroom. If I was going to do a house differently, then yes, I would include a little bathroom somewhere, but it would be modern, and I still love that modern bathroom suite. And I'm glad that I did actually embrace a more contemporary look to my doll's house, because it lets me bring old things in, because so many people's houses have new furniture that they've bought flat pack from IKEA or the like, and then an old piece that was grandma's. It's just how life is. Life is eclectic. Mine is spooky eclectic. Well, definitely spooky eclectic in my doll's house. Now, as I say, you can find lots of things that you can bring in. It's like crystals are a great sort of nod towards magic, and dare I say, witchcraft. You don't have to agree with it to use these sort of things. This is a little tiny mushroom carving that's been done as a pendant. Wouldn't that be perfect as a feature piece on a miniature shelf? I think it would. But you could use raw crystals. little crystal chips. I've done it. I've shown it before. It works. It is about looking at things in a different way. It's about embracing the bats, the skulls, the dark colours. But if you don't feel it, you know, don't include it. If you don't like skulls particularly, you can still have spooky by including other bones. I've made things with other bones. I made a baby mobile with bones. Made my own bones for that, actually, in a previous project. You know, this is what miniatures should all be about. Really is. Now, I'm not saying that you can't go out and buy spooky things, but a lot of the spooky things you can buy in miniatures are aimed at Halloween. They're aimed at haunted houses. If you want yours to be an haunted house that somebody actually lives in, fine. But just remember that most haunted houses that are lived in are actually quite ordinary houses. And you haven't got to get the complete over-the-top Victorian, Gothic, whatever it is, aesthetic going on, unless you really want to. So I've rambled a bit, and it's actually helped my head no end. Preparing for this, coming up with some ideas, has actually given me a way to go, and I am going to be starting work on something almost as soon as I finish filming this. But spooky or Halloween, which one do you prefer in miniature? You know, are you a 1 month a year miniaturist, or a get a bit of the dark side in every day? It doesn't matter. Everything you do is completely valid, and as long as you love it, that's what matters. I love what I do. I also love sharing it, because I do get a lot of you lovely people that appreciate the things that I do. And I do try and include things that the less spookily inclined amongst you could adapt. I know I don't always succeed, but hey-ho, it is what it is. So if you've enjoyed this video, and I hope you have, even though I've talked and talked and talked and struggled with my words, please like, comment, subscribe. It all helps the channel. And if you do subscribe, consider ringing that notification bell, so that YouTube will eventually tell you that I've put up a new video, because I don't know when I'm going to put up a new video. But until next time, bye.